Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are, whoever's watching this. We're glad to have you back to another episode of Garage Talk Mondays. This week we're going to talk to you about my children. Why? Why not? I want to kind of go through everything we've been through with our kids, starting with Max, our oldest, who's 7 now. Max was born February 28th, 2012, and he came into this world with a bang, to say the least. I think it was like 3 days before Max was born. I don't know if you can hear that, but my dog's outside barking now. It's really annoying. Anyway, so Max come into this world. He was about 3 days beforehand. Kayla had started to have some issues. She went to the doctor. She told the doctor that she had pain in her shoulder, and couldn't figure out why. The doctor said it's probably nothing to worry about. We'll do a urine collection and make sure everything's good to go, and you should be fine. So they sent her home. I think it was like the next day or the day after, something like that. It wasn't very long. I had been up late working, and Kayla had been up through the night with the shoulder pain, still hurting really bad. And she said, she finally woke me up and said, "Hey, you got to take me to the hospital. Something's really wrong." She goes, "This isn't normal." My dogs, I swear. Anyway, she said, "You need to take me to the hospital." So reluctantly, at the time, I was like, okay, they're not going to do anything for you. Your shoulder hurts. You probably laid on it wrong. Yeah, whatever. I was mad. I got up. I was really tired. I got up out of bed, got her in the car, and we drove her to the hospital. We sat in the emergency room for, I don't know, probably 2 hours. And finally the guy says, "Is your blood pressure high?" Or normally high? And my wife says, "No, not normally." And he goes, He goes, "Well, I'm going to send you up to labor and delivery because your blood pressure is really high and you've been here quite a while." Okay. By the time we got to the labor and delivery room and got set up there and they were checking on her and checking on the baby, the doctor came in, or one of the doctors came in and said, "Well, we got your 24-hour urine collection back already, and all your I don't know, whatever, your levels and whatever were really, really high." And so they said, "Here's the deal. You have what we would consider severe preeclampsia," which basically is, there's a roundabout way, it's her body starts to kind of reject the pregnancy. Her liver starts to fail, things like that. And that's what was going on. So they sent her by helicopter from our hospital here, just 12, 15 miles away, and sent her to Champaign Hospital, which is, they said basically it was like an hour or so to drive there, like an hour and 15 minutes or something is what they said would take you to drive there. They said it'd take her between 30 to 45 minutes by flight. They said depending on if they could land at the hospital or not because of the wind, because where the helicopter had to land was on top of the hospital. So they said if it was too windy, they'd have to land at the airport, and then they'd have an ambulance take her in. I said, okay, that's a lot to take in. We're gonna have, you're gonna be airlifted to a hospital. Okay, so it wasn't very long. It was only a couple minutes. The helicopter crew was there. They put her in a helicopter, and they gave me basically like a map of Champaign of how to get there. I've never been there before. I don't even know if I've ever really been to Champaign before that. So I have no idea where I was going. Oh well, okay, figured it out. At the time, my wife had a 2007 Dodge Charger. I don't know, it may not be the right year, but it was a Dodge Charger, and it was only the V6, but it was the big V6 model, but it was fast. And what I mean by fast is, this is probably one of my favorite stories to tell, is she left in the helicopter. I turned around and told my mom bye. I said, "I gotta go get gas in the car and I'm going to Champaign." And she said, "Okay, I'm gonna go." I think she was at work, so she had to go back to work. She was gonna clock out, go home, get some clothes or whatever, and then she was gonna come up later. She said, "Just keep her in the loop." I said, "Okay." I had called my dad and told my dad what was going on. By that point, I got in the car, I drove down, put gas in it, and I took off down the interstate. And I remember my dad, he got on the next on-ramp onto the interstate, and he had actually got on right behind me. And he calls me and he says, "Hey bud, I think you need to slow down." And I said, "I'm fine, everything's fine, whatever." He goes, No. He goes, "You need to slow down." He said, "I got on the interstate behind you." He said, "And we're not even 2 miles down the road, and you left me." And at that point, I had looked down. I was doing about 115 mile an hour. Now, I drove about between 100 and 115 mile an hour pretty much the whole way there. Of course, first son, my wife's in a helicopter being shipped off. I'm freaking out. So, anyway, we get going, and I get to Champaign, and I remember I was in the elevator. I didn't know where I was going. I actually got to the hospital pretty easily. I just kind of looked at the map. Okay, well, whatever. Got there, got to the hospital, figured out where to park. Just took off walking. It wasn't running. I mean, look at me, I'm not a runner. Took off walking really fast. Got into the end of the hospital, got in the elevator, and Kayla texted me, says, "Hey, I'm here at the hospital." I said, "Good, me too." And she texted me back, she goes, "How are you here already?" I said, "I'm in the elevator, I'm coming up now." So they hadn't even quite got her to her room yet, and I was already there, if that tells you anything. So I basically met her at the hospital. They said it did take about 45 minutes to get there because they did have to land at the airport, and then they brought her in by ambulance. So they said it was probably 45 minutes or less from the time I left Effingham to the time I got there. It's what the flight crew said. So I made it the hour and 15 or hour and a half drive from here to there in like 45 minutes or less. So anyway, that was always one of my favorite stories to tell of the whole thing. But we ended up being in the Champaign Hospital, at the Carle Hospital, for like 3 days until Max was born. And he was 28 weeks is how early he was born. You're supposed to go to 40 weeks. He was born at 28 weeks. He was very small. All this is because of the preeclampsia. They had to deliver the baby. They said there was no other way about it. They said you either deliver or, much worse things could happen. So it was about 3 days after we got at the hospital, they delivered him. And he ended up in the NICU in the Champaign Hospital. Kayla was in the hospital for about 2 weeks, and Max ended up being in the NICU at Champaign for right at 3 months altogether. When he came home, he was a little over 5 pounds. When he was born, he was 2 pounds 9 ounces. So he was very tiny. I have a picture I will put up right now. This picture is of my thumb and Max's foot, if that gives you any idea how small he was. Anyway, but now Max is 7 years old. He's a bouncing, happy boy. He's a typical 7-year-old, doesn't listen, does what he wants, thinks he knows the world. So that's Max's story. He's a good kid. He's just not, I don't know how to say it. He's a great kid. He's just a kid. He's just a kid being a kid. You always want your kids to grow up to be like you, or to grow up being nice children and stuff. So you want them to be that way. And Max is just a typical 7-year-old. So anyway, moving on. Jax and Jenna. Yes, they are twins. They are boy-girl twins. No, they're not identical, because you cannot have identical boy-girl twins, because one has a penis and one doesn't, and that's the honest truth. But they are twins. They were born on June 15th, 2016, and they came into the world with a bang too. Kayla and I had been trying to get pregnant for, I think it was a little over a year. She could probably tell you the exact days, but it was a little over a year. We had a lot of people saying, "Oh, when are you going to have another kid? When are you going to have another kid?" We were like, "Never, we ain't doing it again." Truth was, we were trying. Things just weren't going well. Kayla had, from the problems with the first pregnancy, and along with the birth control that she had one of the things in her arm that was keeping her from getting pregnant, and we had that removed. And it just took that much time kind of for everything to get back to normal. She ended up taking a some kind of a medicine that helps her produce an egg. And anyway, long story short, she finally got pregnant. It was a great thing. Whatever. We went to the one of her sonograms, and the lady asked, "Have you guys had kids before?" We said, "Yeah, we got one son." She goes, "Okay, well, I'm going to cut to the chase because you're going to figure this out real quick." Okay. She goes, "That's baby A, and that's baby B." Only thing I could do was sit there and laugh because I just thought it was hilarious. Because I had this whole thought the whole time, like, man, it's probably twins or something, like, you know. And Kayla's just going, no, 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 it can't be, it can't be, it can't be. Well, anyways, long story short, we had twins. Kayla took them. I think she carried them. I could be wrong. She's probably going to correct me on this. I think she carried them to almost 35 or 36. I think it was like 35 weeks, 5 days, something like that. Because I think to be delivered here at our local hospital, it had to be at least at 35 weeks to be delivered here. Otherwise, they usually ship them out. So Kayla got that far, and her protein levels or whatever were starting to spike again. So they said, "You're at 35 weeks. You're good to go. We're going to go ahead and deliver these babies." Let me tell you about that day. Before we go that far, I was at work. And I remember talking to the guys, and I'm like, she's got this, appointment today, and they're, getting kind of worried and this and that, I want to make sure they knew her protein was up a little bit. She had been put on bed rest, so we were just kind of just worried about how much longer she had to go. We knew we had passed the 35 weeks, so we were okay with that. And I remember her calling me from the doctor's office and said, "They're sending me over to the hospital to do some tests." She goes, "I think you need to meet me here." Crap. So I got my truck, left work, and I went to the hospital and met her there. And I remember telling her, I was like, "Look," I was like, "they sent you here." I was like, "I have a feeling," I said, "either these babies are coming or we're going to have to go be sent somewhere else." I said that because they're not just going to send you to the hospital for no reason. And so they started doing the tests. They sent her up to labor and delivery, started doing some tests, and finally the doctor came in and says, "Well, ready to have these babies? We're going to have these babies tonight." And we're like, "Oh, wait a minute, what?" And she said, "Yep." She says, "We're going to deliver you about 8 o'clock. So we started getting on the phone, telling everybody, "Hey, Kayla's having a baby tonight," whatever. So time came, we went up, and they did the C-section, and then, delivered the babies, and everybody come out just as healthy as could be. And we are now blessed with 2 little kids, a boy and a girl. Jackson and Jenna, and Jenna is the cutest little redhead, and Jackson is he's the craziest kid because him and Max are 2 different kids. Max stubs his toe and cries. Jackson bounces his head off a concrete floor, gets up and laughs about it. So if that tells you anything, Jackson, he's funny. He's a funny kid, but man, I tell you, he is a headstrong kid too, because he will scream and yell at you and tell you what you did wrong. Jenna, on the other hand, is very, very quiet. She sits and plays on her tablet. She's very smart, but she doesn't talk as much. Jackson does all the talking in that sibling relationship. Jackson talks all the time and can hold full conversations with you at 3 years old. And Jenna talks, but she doesn't really put a lot together. Like, she can talk 1 or 2 words. I don't think she's behind. She just doesn't have that where she has to talk. If you get her alone from Jackson, she talks a lot more. But they're just adorable. They're same thing as Max. They're just good kids. They're smart. They're funny. They get into everything. Jenna has been having a habit lately of drawing on the walls. So we have a great big blue mark down one of our walls from a permanent marker she got her hands on. Today I caught her in the refrigerator. She took out one of my, thank God it was a gun case that didn't have anything in it, but she got into one of my gun cases. But everything else is locked up, just so you know. But she had happened to find one and got it open, and that freaked us out a little bit. But everything else is good to go, so we're fine. We're fine. Nothing wrong with that. But she's just very, very curious at this stage. So anyway, that's my story. Like I said, Max turned 7 back in January, and February, and Jackson and Jenna are about to turn 3 years old here in what, a month-ish. So that's all I have for you. I don't know. I said in one of my last videos, I said something about if you guys want me to talk about something, just to let me know. And a friend of mine asked me if we could talk about boobs, and no, we can't. Not on here. As much as I'd like to. But no, we're not going to talk about boobs. But anything else, if you guys want me to talk about something in my life or some story, I think one of the next ones I'm going to tell some stories about growing up, my teenage years, and my younger, wilder days. I want to tell some of those stories. Hopefully I don't incriminate myself. But those are coming up, so stay tuned. And next week on another Garage Talk Monday, we will have some really good stories coming up. So anyway, we'll see you guys later. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to hit the bell if you want to hear or be notified about the videos. And just keep following along, guys. I appreciate it. You know, if you like this video, hit the like down below. Leave a comment, something. Let me know what you think. Don't just leave me in the dark here, because I don't know. I don't know if I'm doing something good. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong. So anyway, we'll see you guys next week on another episode of Garage Talk Mondays. Bye, guys.